Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green, coming from an undisclosed location in the state of Alabama here. I'm behind enemy lines, after that domination on Saturday night. We decided to just go ahead and move on in, take the whole state over. But that's my co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you feeling tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing all right. Yeah, can't complain. Still, definitely still, I guess, riding the high as a Georgia fan of that SEC championship win. I mean, that was a incredible performance, and I'm excited to talk more about it. But how's the trip going?
It's good, man. Can't complain. Taking the dogs, seeing the golf and all that stuff. But yeah, as you can see, I'm a studious guy. Got some books, a telescope back here. So we're doing big things. It's also like a pelican thing. You can kind of see it coming out of the corner there. But yeah, so it's good stuff.
Good to hear, man. Nice telescope.
Absolutely. But yeah, so we'll get, obviously the huge news is the college football playoff, but let's start as we do most Mondays, just kind of had a chance to rewatch the game, all that sort of stuff. And this is a big win. We can soak this one in a little bit longer. Alabama, Georgia, 28-7 in the SEC championship. Any extra thoughts that you didn't get out on our instant reaction on Saturday night?
I mean, I guess nothing I didn't already kind of say or allude to after that game, because I mean that really was just such a dominant performance by Georgia that there's only so many different takeaways that you can have from it. But I mean, just a wire to wire win. I mean, a complete domination. They had a chance to shut them out before a couple second stringers came in and Bernard had the touchdown. I know that Kirby Smart was not pleased about that. But, I mean, football is a game where if the ball bounces your way a couple times against a really good team, you really can't afford to miss out on those opportunities. And Georgia just took all of them. Another huge special teams play for this team with the blocked punt that they instantly almost converted into 7 points right after the earlier against Texas this season, you had the onside kick. And then last season's SEC championship, you had the fake punt with Drew Bogo and Arian Smith. And Georgia just continuing to make those kinds of plays in the third phase of the game, I think is really big. And I think that's a big separator for what the best teams do and for what the not so great teams do. So really just, I mean, from every angle, what a big win for Georgia. What a performance. And they're the hottest team in the entire country entering the college football playoff.
Yeah, I would advise Georgia football teams to block more kicks and punts. If it means it's 100% foolproof that we're going to win the game if we block a punt or a kick. We need to be doing that more often because it goes back even further than than the two you referenced. You go back to 2022, the Chris Smith one where he returned for a touchdown. LSU was kind of walking off the field after that blocked field goal. The national championship game, Jalen Carter with that block. Lorenzo Carter back in the Rose Bowl. I believe it was Daquan Hawkins Muckle in the Auburn SEC championship back in 2017.
And
I don't know. It's a bunch of them. You can go back to. Go ahead.
Sorry. This isn't a blocked field goal, but Kirby calling the timeout against Ohio State in the 2022 semifinal when they were about to run a fake punt and probably convert it. I mean, these special teams plays that come in these big moments are huge, man. And it really reminds you how important special teams is when you can make difference-making plays on that end.
Yeah, and it was and also the Cash Jones, the onside kick recovery. I guess Cash Jones recovered it, but give Peyton Woodring the credit for that one, for the perfect onside kick. But yeah, it's even if you go back to the Mark Richt era, 2002, that SEC championship against Arkansas. I want to say it was DeCorey Bryant, if I'm not mistaken. But they blocked a punt, almost returned it for a touchdown. I returned down inside the 5 against Arkansas in 2002. And I believe it was Brian McClendon. No, was it? Yeah, I think it was Brian McClendon or Marcus Brown. Oh man, I'm blanking. In 2005 against LSU in the SEC championship, Georgia blocked a punt in that game, and Alec Ogletree returned the blocked field goal for a touchdown in 2012. It's crazy how many times Georgia seems to have a blocked punt or kick in the SEC championship.
Yeah, that's a fun trend. I mean, yeah, that kind of play. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't know that because our connection's a bit weird, so I can't really tell when you're finished and when I need to like start. So I don't know.
Oh, my bad. I'm on the road here. I'm trying to do the best I can. But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, those kinds of plays are just huge, and that was a huge tone setter in this game. Like, I mean, I think that play happening that early after what it was, I think only 2 drives, and you know they exchanged punts to start that game, and then that play happened, and it kind of signaled what kind of game it was going to be from there.
Yeah, for sure. It's just those tend to be the good games for Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship. One thing I wrote down, not to skip through the whole game, because obviously you can bring it back because this was near the very end. But the 4th and 2, I think because they got just absolutely obliterated, no one's focusing on how terrible of a coaching decision it was to go on for a 4th and 2 on your own 12-yard line. But that was truly a horrific coaching decision. Like, there's 8-12 left in the game and you're down 2 touchdowns. Like, yeah, you don't want to punt in that situation, but you could easily get a stop, get the ball back, score a touchdown to cut it to 7 by, like, I don't know, 4 minutes left in the game or so. Like, you have a puncher's chance. Kalen DeBoer just decided here with 8 minutes to go, we're gonna end the game potentially if we don't get this. And that's just, it really was just an awful decision. I mean, you essentially gave a team a touchdown, giving them the ball at the 12-yard line.
Yeah, especially because once they got up 21-0, Georgia got on the conservative side in terms of play calling, because I think that they were confident in their defense and they knew that Alabama just wasn't able to get anything going. And so Georgia was playing the field position game for pretty much that whole second half. The idea was to force Alabama to go on these long drives and sustain drives, and they just couldn't do it. And so for them to get Alabama in that situation on 4th and 2, and for Alabama to then make the field position battle even harder on themselves by going for that and then obviously not converting, yeah, that just played right into Georgia's hand, I thought. And I guess at that point, when you have just not been able to get anything going on offense for practically the entire game, you get desperate and you need a spark. And maybe if you pick that up, then you get a little juice flowing and get a little bit going. But they didn't convert at all. And then yeah, Georgia immediately has the touchdown to Zachariah Branch right after. So as difficult as Georgia made things for Alabama all night, that was definitely something where Alabama made it harder on themselves than it needed to be.
Yeah, and if in just terms of a risk versus reward type thing, like you get that, you pick up that 4th down. Okay, now you got to go 85 yards for a touchdown. Like it's not like you're all like that's all of a sudden gonna. I don't know. I think it really was just a boneheaded decision by Kalen DeBoer and effectively ended the game 8 minutes early because you weren't winning after that.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia scored like 3 plays after that. Went up 28.
Yeah, I think it was 3rd down.
Yeah, with like 6 minutes to go. I mean, that was a 3rd and long screenplay. I mean, for as much as people on the interwebs like to just cry about screen passes and complain about them, you've got a player like Zachariah Branch. I guess that's one way to get him the ball quickly. But yeah, that was a very interesting coaching move by DeBoer that I guess that more than anything just signaled desperation and we're out of ideas. We're down to our last gasp. We're just going to try this. But I agree with how, I mean, you know, Georgia had a pretty good offensive game. You know, they were running the ball okay, not great. You know, Stockton was making the throws he needed to make, but he wasn't like tearing them up or anything. I think the answer, obviously this is Monday morning or Monday evening quarterbacking, I guess, and you know the game's already over at this point. But yeah, I think that the decision there would have definitely been to force Georgia to go on a drive there, and if you get a stop and you get yourself in good field position, who knows what can happen? But they didn't even give themselves a chance to do that because yeah, they failed to convert, gave Georgia the ball in the red zone up 2 scores. Georgia turns that into a touchdown. Georgia went 4 for 4 on getting the ball in an advantageous spot and turning it into 7. And Alabama had no chance to do that in the first place because Georgia did such a good job of playing mistake-free football, and that made all the difference in this one.
Was the third touchdown after Zachariah Branch's punt return? Is that what set that up? So that was like a 45-yard drive also?
Yeah, yes. No, that was the intercept. Well, yeah, their second touchdown was the interception. The third touchdown it was Zachariah Branch, returned that thing to the Alabama 40. So, yeah, I mean,
I don't think I realized that.
That's another special.
I don't think I realized.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I realized that all 4 touchdowns were Georgia starting on Alabama's side of the field. I did see the stat of Georgia starting field position was on their own 40, and Alabama's starting field position was their own 18. So that speaks a lot to the field position battle in this game. Yeah. Shout out to Brett Thorson also.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one drive, Georgia's second drive of the game. They started that possession at their own 43, and they went 14 plays. I mean, they had to go on a long drive. The longest play of that drive was they had a 19-yard pass to Bell, then they had an 11-yard play, Frazier running it. But aside from that, yeah, I mean, even then, that's a 57-yard drive. That's not a march by any means. That's still what you would consider good field position. So, yeah, I mean, this would be in the dictionary next to the term field position game, I think. The thing that I kept going back to on our instant reaction and the thing that still just wows me about this game is how, you know, Alabama's a good team. They made the college football playoff. They're obviously a college football playoff team. And when they make mistakes and they put you in a good position to succeed, there aren't a lot of teams that can go 4 for 4 in opportunities like that. Turn each of those situations into 7 points. A lot of teams might do that a couple times, 3 times, but it's pretty elite stuff from Georgia to be able to cash in like that over and over. And you know, they scored a touchdown in each quarter, and that was it. I mean, they grabbed Alabama by the throat and just suffocating them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Sorry, I was having a little connection issue here. Can you hear me right?
Yeah.
So also another thing, I don't think we gave enough credit to on our instant reaction on Saturday was Malachi Tolliver. Maybe the broadcast talked about him enough, but obviously that was a huge storyline with Drew Bobo being out, and he absolutely held his own. Any thoughts on Malachi Tolliver from your end?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, I think him having to come in the middle of the Georgia Tech game was just a really tough situation. Anytime a center goes out in the middle of the game and you have to put a new one in, it really does a number on the offense. I mean, that's a completely different guy, changing all the protections and making the reads at the line of scrimmage, and that's a big deal. And we saw Georgia's run game that had been doing so well against Georgia Tech in that first half suddenly not be able to get anything going. And so I don't think that it was reasonable to expect that kind of performance out of Malachi Tolliver again, especially because, you know, this is a 4-star recruit. This is not some guy coming in who's, you know, is a 2-3-star guy who's just a Band-Aid player. He did enough. Obviously, Georgia didn't go for over 200 yards on the ground in this one. They weren't hyper efficient. There was no running back averaging like 10 yards a carry like Chauncey Bowens did, but they got enough push, man. And Malachi Tolliver deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, there weren't a lot of explosive, super long plays in the running game. I think they had a handful of runs go for over 10 yards for sure. But yeah, the running game kept the offense on schedule, kept them ahead of the sticks for the most part, kept those third down situations manageable, and that made all the difference. I was worried. I didn't think that, Bobo's injury was just going to destroy the run game forever. I knew that it was going to hurt it, and I think it did a little bit, and that's still something to monitor going forward for sure, because Drew Bobo's a hell of a player, and losing him is tough. But do I feel, as a Georgia guy, a lot better about the offensive line going forward after watching Tolliver? Yeah. Like, I think there's probably not going to be as many explosive runs or whatever, but I do believe in this run game to get the push that it needs to and do its job for the most part. And Malachi Tolliver deserves all the props for that.
Absolutely. Also, this could just be me. Tell me if I'm just completely out of bounds here. Is it just me, or does Malachi Tolliver sound like a wide receiver that went to LSU in like 2006?
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know what it is.
It's definitely it's a really like.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying it's a very SEC name for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw Malachi Tolliver and I was like, huh, that's not exactly what I was expecting Malachi Tolliver to look like. But any other words on this Alabama SEC championship other than just it's man, just always great to beat Alabama.
Yeah, I want to talk about the defense a little bit, because I thought that a lot of the stuff that we were sounding the alarm about, so to speak, earlier in the year just looked a lot better in this game. I mean, the reason that Ty Simpson had his best game of the season against Georgia the first time around was because he wasn't pressured at all. I mean, like, Georgia could not get home with 4 rushers, and then when they did try to blitz, Alabama did a great job picking it up with Cuevas, and their running backs did enough picking up blitzes. And, Alabama a bit banged up on that offensive line this time around. No Josh Cuevas, no Jam Miller, Jam Miller might not be a stud in pass protection, so to speak, but he probably is one of their better guys at the running back position. And I think you saw the result. I mean, Alabama has not looked good offensively this year when Simpson is pressured. He just hasn't. And Georgia, had, I believe, 9 sacks in the month of November. They had 3 in this game, and it just looked completely different from the last time these two teams played, where Simpson was just chilling in the pocket. He was not chilling in the pocket this time. And for a quarterback who has issues with holding the ball too long, patting that thing, and doubling back in the pocket and having weird feet like Simpson does, I think you saw the result of that. I mean, I'm not saying Ty Simpson's terrible or anything. I don't mean to dogpile or victory lap too much on the guy, so I'll move on. But I do think that Georgia's pass rush looked a lot better in this game. It looks like a unit that might not be the same that we're used to from this team. There's not a Michael Williams or a Jalen Walker walking through that door, and that's something that we'll have to admit. But it does look like a unit, I think, that can contribute to a playoff run. And on the other side of that, I wanted to shout out the secondary, because that Tennessee game back in September is the one that we all hark back to when we talk about the defense, or talk about the back end of the defense. And, man, those guys have just balled out. I mean, DeMello Jones' emergence has been key for this team. Ellis Robinson, I will continue to sing his praises every time I get up on here until I have a reason not to, and I don't know if I'll be getting one, because that guy is a stud. I mean, he is
Ellis Island.
Ellis Island, man. He's playing as well as any cornerback in the entire country right now. And then, of course, you have Dalen Everett, who I think the talk had kind of cooled a little bit about him, because people were so high on Robinson and Jones for good reason. But Dalen Everett had an interception that's one of the best plays of this game. And they left him with Ryan Williams a lot of the time on an island, and he held up really well. I know that Ryan Williams is catching a lot of flack from Alabama fans for not being that guy or being overrated, and he had a rough outing, but he's still so talented. I mean, anytime you hold Ryan Williams to that kind of game, you deserve a lot of credit. So, Yeah, I feel very good about this secondary. It's a unit that I trust going into this playoff run. And shoot, man, until even I mean they turned a corner. I think in that fourth quarter, the Ole Miss game. I think that's the moment I would point to is like that's where they started to figure it out. But even after that game, after mid October, I still had my reservations about the secondary. But right now, man, I mean, I don't. Is it crazy to say like I feel as good as Georgia's as good about Georgia's cornerbacks as just about any position group on the team, and I can't believe I'm saying that. That might be going a bit too far, but Ellis Robinson is such a stud, man. He just oof.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. And I mean, kudos to you, but also you stole the words out of my mouth, sir. I was literally just about to talk about the turning point of the season for the defense was that fourth quarter versus Ole Miss. Going to that point, and with Ole Miss being the fifth game, they had played 5 games versus Power 4 competition. They were giving up 25 points a game. From then on, Georgia's given up 11 points a game. Like
Wow.
it's kind of night and day. And I mean, obviously, there's a couple not great teams in there, but I mean, there's a dominant win over Texas, a dominant win defensively wise over Georgia Tech, like dominant win over Alabama. Like this team, I really do. I feel like this defense is now on par with like 2022, 2023 Georgia. Like this is an elite defense. It looks like maybe the best in college football, and to go with an offense that's been this explosive, like this team is so dangerous.
Yeah, it looks pretty crazy. They might not. I might not go as far as to compare them to 2022 just yet because that team had Jalen Carter on it, and
Yeah.
that makes a pretty big difference. But I do agree with you. I think it's on. It's just not the Achilles heel that it was cracked up to be. I mean, a lot of the national conversation around Georgia for most of this season has been like, they don't have a pass rush, and that's fair. They have the fewest sacks in the SEC, I think, probably still. But and if they don't, then they're on the low end of that list. But it's just not like Georgia's defense is not some weakness that we can point to as something that like will derail the season. I mean, Georgia. I'm not saying Georgia's just this perfect elite team with no weaknesses right now, but they're playing like the best team in the country right now, and the biggest reason for that is how much their defense has stepped up over the last month.
I'm with you, man, and I think that's a good segue in terms of what this team's ceiling is into the college football playoffs, sir. So the field. There's been speculation for however long, but the field is decided, and this is the bracket we have, sir. So as you see there, Indiana getting the 1 seed, Ohio State getting the 2 seed, and Georgia getting the 3 seed. Before we dig into all of these other matchups and everything else, in what world is Ohio State the 2 seed and Georgia the 3 seed in this bracket? What metric would make you put Ohio State ahead of Georgia? Few first round picks in the 2026 or something? Like, is that what we're basing things off? Like their best win is Texas. Georgia beat Texas by 4 touchdowns, or almost 4 touchdowns. Like, that's all they had. Michigan, that's their next best win. Like the best team they played was Indiana. They lost. Like
Quality loss.
I'm dumbfounded by it. Like Alabama, Georgia's only loss, and they avenged that loss. Also have the win over Ole Miss. Like I'm blown away. SEC champion, how Ohio State got the 2 over Georgia being the 3.
Yeah, I think that is a bit weird. That was definitely something I thought was questionable about this bracket because, yeah, Georgia's just looks so good. They've got the same number of losses. Georgia's got like 2 wins that are probably better than Ohio State's best win. Maybe 3 if you want to like power rank the Texas wins. Like Georgia beat Texas by much more than Ohio State did, like you said. So yeah, I do think that's a bit strange. I guess the reason for that would be like the committee, and we'll talk more about this because this is why Alabama got in, is because the committee doesn't want to disincentivize teams playing in conference championships. But you can do that and then move Ohio State to 3, and I don't think people would have had a problem with it. So I do think it's a bit weird. I don't think it's a huge deal, 2 versus 3 seed for these teams, but because, I don't know. Georgia's playing the winner of Tulane Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is a team they've already beaten, so I know that they can compete with them. And then Tulane is a Group of 5 school, no disrespect. But, yeah, that is a bit weird. I don't really understand that one either.
Yeah, and I'm not too stressed about it because I think 7-10 may be a tougher matchup. The winner of Miami A&M may be a tougher matchup than the winner of Ole Miss Tulane. Like, no disrespect to Ole Miss, but Lane Kiffin is not there. Like, you're at least to play. I would assume Ole Miss is slightly worse without their head coach.
Yeah.
But I mean, who's to say? But yeah, so I'm not like too stressed about it. I'm just like, I think you can't. I agree. I don't know. I guess I go back and forth. I at least understand the logic of not penalizing the teams that lose in the conference championships, but that's only compared to other teams who didn't play in conference championships. Like you absolutely can bump Georgia and Texas Tech if you wanted to for winning their conference championship. So like, but yeah, the idea of Alabama not getting kicked out of the playoff for losing an extra game that Notre Dame and Miami didn't have to play. Like, I do understand the logic, even if I don't 100% agree with it. Like, Alabama, like, if we're not doing this every week, which is my new proposal, by the way, I think Josh Pate has been listening to the show, because I think the biggest problem with the bracket is just doing the weekly rankings. If they just waited to the very end of the season to do the rankings, like, I don't think there would be nearly the controversy that there is. Like, we just get one shot at it. It's Selection Sunday. Boom, this is the bracket. But instead, you see like the transparency. Like, we all want that, or we think we want that. But like the transparency is like doomed them. Like, because a week ago Notre Dame's better than Miami, but after neither playing and neither team played a team that was playing on Saturday or Friday. Like, so there was like no justification for like, well, they beat Duke or they beat Virginia, and so now we are evaluating it differently. Like, there's literally no data point for them to pull to, other than now they're consecutive in the rankings, and now we can't compare 11 and 13 head to head. If they played head to head, we can do 11 and 12 or whatever they are. Like, it's just a hilarious logic, but like I said, I'm not too stressed about Georgia not getting the 3 over the 2, especially with Kirby, or getting the 3 instead of the 2, especially with Kirby being 4-0 now in rematches. That should bode well for most likely a second round rematch versus Ole Miss. Although John Summerall could make some fans real quickly in Gainesville if he were to upset Ole Miss and then upset Georgia. But we'll see about that. But my biggest thing, I think the biggest problem I have with this bracket is the rematches, personally. Like, I understand not penalizing Alabama, moving them out of the bracket, but put them as the 10 seed. Like, give Miami the 9 or something, whatever. Like, I think Ole Miss, you could easily justify Ole Miss having the 5 seed and Oregon being the 6 to avoid not only the Tulane Ole Miss rematch, but also the likely Georgia Ole Miss rematch in the second round. Like, I just think there's things you could have done. Also, this is a made for TV thing, right? Like, this is all a sham. That's just TV ratings, right? Like, how are Miami and Georgia not potentially set up in the second round? Like, the drama of Carson Beck versus Georgia. Like, I would assume that's something they wanted.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that too. That's the biggest reason to me why I'm kind of bummed about Georgia not getting the 2 seeds, because I wanted to see the Carson Beck revenge game. I thought that would have been a really cool storyline. But yeah, that is kind of weird that they had 2 rematches in the first round, and then if one of those rematches goes anything like the way that it did the first time around, it'll probably lead to another rematch between Georgia and Ole Miss. So that's a bit weird. I I know Alabama's probably frustrated to be playing Oklahoma, a team that they're 0-2 against in the last 2 years, but I mean, it should be a good game. Alabama, Oklahoma, for my money, is probably the best first round game of these four. But yeah, it is weird. The rematches are weird, and the counter to that, I would say, would just be seed the best 12 teams the way that you think that they should be seeded, and avoid thinking about that rematch factor. But we know that they don't always do that. They don't always seed the best 12 teams. So it's odd. It's definitely odd. And I wanted Georgia to get to play Carson Beck in the quarterfinals, but maybe it'll happen in the semifinals. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess it is. I guess anything's possible. But one of the points you made, well, and shout out to Juan Hung Lo here in the group in the live chat. Looking forward to the next GA Bama Classic for the national championship. RTR, he says. I'm not gonna say that out loud on our show, but that's sort of nonsense. But yeah, Alabama, they absolutely could go on a run. I don't think it would surprise anyone if Alabama went on a run. But I don't know. This isn't your older brother's Alabama. I would say it's not your father's Alabama, but it's not that long ago. So it's like this is just not the Saban dynasty. So
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma absolutely shackled their offense again, like they did in the first round, and got to Indiana in the second. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But also, have you seen the schedule for these opening round games? I think that might be the worst part of all of it. For one, I'm just a huge advocate for college football on Saturdays. Like I know we get into December and the calendar goes out the window and there's New Year's Eve and all that stuff, but so playing these games on Friday already kind of annoys me. But only one is on Friday, then they have the 3 on Saturday. The Friday night game is Alabama, Oklahoma, which is the best game of the whole weekend as far as I'm concerned. And then the following day, the noon kickoff is Miami, Texas A&M, which is the best game. So we get 3:30. Yes. Like you're done. You're done with it by the noon slate. Like we all know what's going to happen. Ole Miss, Tulane, and Oregon, James Madison. I get Oregon getting in a late game because they're on the West Coast, but it seems like Oregon, James Madison should have been Friday night. Go ahead and get that one out of the way, and then triple header on Saturday. But yeah, that was also weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know if there should ever be noon games in the college football playoff. That's weird, is it not?
No, not at all.
Yeah, that is very strange. Like you said, I know, December, who cares about the calendar now? We can schedule them whatever day of the week we want, but yeah, that's weird. That's among many things you can critique about the college football playoff. Shouldn't even be 12 teams in the first place. If you ask me, 12 is about 8 teams too many. But at least if you're going to do that, if you're going to have half the top 25 in the damn playoff, at least have them be at good times of the day. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who would be arguing about number 1 Indiana versus 4 Texas Tech, 2, 3, whatever you want to call them, Georgia versus Ohio State, 4-team playoff? Let's ride. Like,
yeah, no one. I mean, well, people always will. That's
all
why,
worked out. Like,
I mean, the reason that they expand the playoff is because people kept. I mean, it was just 1 versus 2, and then people argued and they got mad. They're like, well, 3 and 4 should have a chance. So they expanded to 4 teams, and then it's like, well, why don't 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 have a chance? And so then they just go to 12, and now you have, 14, 15, 16. Well, we should have a chance too. This is like, no one's ever going to be happy. It's all just like, I don't even like talking about college football playoff scenarios because all it leads to is this. It's just an anger machine. It's just an argument generator. Like, friggin', you got Notre Dame throwing a tantrum, and we don't even want to play in a bowl game now because they got left out of the playoff. You got Vanderbilt's quarterback and the president assign an executive order so they can get left in the playoff. You got Steve Sarkisian saying, "Well, why did we even play Ohio State? You don't even want it." Like you got like everyone just complain. BYU's coach was pleading their case. Like expanding a playoff just leads to more anger and just more squabbling. Like on the selection show, there were ESPN personalities being like, one way that we could fix this is by expanding the playoff. Like, dude, you are no. All that's going to do, if you expand to 16 teams, guess what's going to happen? Number 17, number 18, number 19, number 20 are gonna start going to war and crying. No one's ever going to be happy. Ever. It has nothing to do with the amount of teams. It's just people get mad at stuff.
I'm with you there, man. It was baffling to watch that selection show, and for how I don't know how many different people talking about this is why we need expansion. This is why we need to go to 16 teams, like Herb Street and like Saban. It's just like Saban just going to bat for Notre Dame for some reason. Like it is not a travesty that Notre Dame is not in the playoff. You could say it was a travesty that Florida State didn't get in a couple years ago. Like you go 13-0 in a Power 4 conference and they get left out. Like just absolute trash. Like I'll defend Florida State forever. Like they were winning games without their quarterback. Who are you to say they can't continue to do so? But like it's wild to me how much the narrative. Like two things can be true. James Madison and Tulane shouldn't be in this playoff, but on the damn show that's announcing the playoff, for that to be a talking point is just the weirdest thing ever to me. Like this has been the rule. We've all known this the entire season. Like I don't know why we're using the day we're picking the playoff to be like, why are these guys invited anyway? Put Notre Dame. It's like, because that's the rules. That's the format we agreed to. Like we're arguing a separate conversation. Like, yes, this conversation also needs to be had, but the conversation is about the teams who made the playoff, and you knew those automatic qualifiers were going to be in there. This idea that Notre Dame somehow got hosed is just like laughable, man. Like I was on Twitter, saw some dude earlier today with the most creative fan take I've ever seen in my entire life. Because I think Bud Elliott was going at this guy talking about like Notre Dame scheduled Navy and was it Boise State they had early, or Arkansas, like a few games that it's like these are not competitive games. Like the Miami and Texas A&M game, yeah, those were competitive games you scheduled. But these other ones, like you knew what you were doing, scheduling Arkansas. Yeah, like you're scheduling an SEC team, but it's not a good SEC team. And this guy argued that Arkansas Texas was game of the week, and it's like, okay, it was a bad week. It was like a 3:30 ABC game. Like, sure. And he was like, yeah, but all the camera angles and everything, they had all the hoopla or something, or all the pomp and circumstance. That's what he said. And I was like, so is your argument that the Notre Dame win over Arkansas was the ESPN production quality was too good for the Texas Arkansas game? Like that's why it's a big win? Is the craziest opinion I've ever heard. But yeah, it's Arkansas was a competitive team. Like Notre Dame beat the hell out of them way worse than most of the teams in the SEC did this year, but it's still not a good win. They didn't win an SEC game. Like this was the literal worst team in the conference. So like they lost to A&M, who honestly, I don't think most teams at the top of the SEC even respect Texas A&M. Like there's a lot of naysayers about Texas A&M, and their only good win is Notre Dame. So like you didn't even beat one of the SEC teams that people really do think is truly legit. And I'm not disrespecting Texas A&M, but the resume is what the resume is. They only beat the bottom half of the SEC this year. So I don't know how many people think Miami is some sort of juggernaut this year. Like lost to a couple mediocre ACC teams. Like these are the two teams that beat you. Like, yes, they are in the playoff, but it's not like who did Tennessee lose to this year? Lost to Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, and then Vanderbilt, a team who arguably should have been in the playoff. It's like it's not like some sort of crime against Notre Dame that they got here with beating one ranked team. Like, yeah, you guys were not that great this year. This playoff, we have to cut it off somewhere. Like I'm with you, 4 teams, because I think 2 teams. It was legitimate when number 3 and number 4 were upset. When Auburn goes undefeated in the SEC and gets left out, yeah, there's a problem with the foundational structure of this championship in the sport. Once 5 and 6 are mad, like, I guess the only real year we can point to is Florida State being left out. But I don't know, man. I do believe the rationale that once we keep expanding it, that now the next team's going to be mad. Like, I agree with that, but I just don't care. It's like at some point I don't care who you are when you're mad. Like, I don't care that 11 and 12 are mad after this. Like, sure, Georgia was mad after being left out in 2023. And you know what they did? They went out and beat Florida State by 60. They didn't take their ball and go home. Like, Notre Dame, especially Notre Dame of all schools, like, it's one thing too. That game's probably a good example. Florida State players were pissed, and players who, let's be honest, most of them at Florida State that year transferred in to try to get to the NFL. Like, they didn't really owe that much to the university. They came in for a year. Season's over. They got kind of screwed out of the playoff, and they're like, yeah, we're good. We're going to train for the draft, whatever. The season's over. But Mike Norvell, the head coach and the athletic director, like, they didn't make that decision. They still went to Miami for the Orange Bowl that year. The idea that Marcus Freeman is just like pouting and not playing in whatever bowl game they were going to get, like, that's the softest thing ever. I lost a lot of respect for Notre Dame this week.
Yeah, I did too, man. I think that's ridiculous because, yeah, Florida State that year, I agree with you. They got snubbed. They got robbed. It's the worst robbery in the history of the sport in terms of the playoff, which I know is only a decade, but still. At the very least, they suited up in that game. I know that they lost by 60 or whatever, but yeah, there's the difference right there. Is Georgia, like you said, Georgia was 12-0, had won back-to-back national championships, hadn't lost a regular season game in 3 years. They lose one game to Alabama in the SEC title game, and they get moved down 6 spots and still have all their guys suit up and beat Florida State by 60. Meanwhile, this year, I mean, Alabama lost the SEC championship game by 21, and they didn't even get moved down a single seed because I think the committee was too scared that if they moved Alabama out of the playoff, then teams would just start opting out of their SEC championship games or their conference championship games. It really, like, stuff like this, to bring it back to Georgia, I mean, the way that other teams are handling it, and I know that's a pure hypothetical. I'm not putting on Alabama. I'm not saying Alabama would have done that for sure. Maybe they wouldn't have. But yeah, for Notre Dame to do what they did and take their ball and go home, basically say we're not playing. That's ridiculous, man. I mean, that is just one of the weakest calls I've ever seen a team ever make. Ever. And it says a lot about the direction that we're headed to in college football. Is all we care about is this 12-team playoff. To hell with the rest of bowl season. That's very sad. It's very unfortunate, and Notre Dame should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, and Alabama, especially of all the programs to do something like this, when you look back at someone like 2017, when Auburn clearly got punished for losing in the SEC championship, and an Alabama team who was not playing, who literally lost. They weren't playing in that game because they lost to Auburn. Ended up getting to go to the playoff in their spot. But yeah, and I think the entire season should be evaluated. And I think there's an argument for, once we're looking at the resumes and everything, Alabama does have the 3 losses, but their resume is more impressive than at Miami and Notre Dame. Maybe they do get that nod by the end of the day, but most teams that go into the SEC championship don't already have 2 losses. Like, they only had the one conference loss, but they had 2 losses, and one of them was to a really bad team. So yeah, you're sitting at 9 or 10, wherever they were in the actual ranking. Yeah, 9 going into last week, and yeah, if you lose, you might be out. If Ole Miss would have lost the SEC championship, they wouldn't have been out. If Texas A&M would have lost, they wouldn't have been out either. Although there's probably an argument for A&M with what their resume was, but like, those teams would have lost their second game in the SEC championship. If Georgia lost the SEC championship, they wouldn't have been out. So it's like, yeah, Alabama, you put yourself in in a tricky circumstance by losing 2 games in the regular season, one of which wasn't to a good team. Your reward is if you win this, you have a bye in the first round. You lose, you're out. Like it's not that complicated. Even though, but I feel like the weekly rankings is what makes it complicated because, well, you had them here and then those teams didn't play. So, can you really punish them? It's like, I don't know. It's just evaluate the 13 games. I think or evaluate just all the weeks of the season. I think there's a lot of people that if you just showed up Sunday, you don't have any knowledge of rankings, wouldn't have Alabama in their top 12. And a lot of them would be Alabama fans because they know what a good team looks like. And they all think this team is trash. Like Alabama fans would be completely understanding if this team was left out of the playoffs. So
I don't know.
It seemed like the
that.
easiest, and this is what we predicted. This is what we predicted on Saturday, or at least
they
what I
think
predicted
they got.
on Saturday.
I know a lot of Alabama fans who think they got robbed last year.
Really? A 3-loss team?
They're not the smartest football fans in the world, but they think that.
No, but
I'm with you. I mean, yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But just in terms of it not being a team that got hosed, like it's a team just got blasted in the conference title game. Like, yeah, I mean, do you deserve to play for national championship? Miami and Notre Dame, like, we haven't seen them, so let's give them a shot. We just saw you guys. You guys just got blasted. Like, I don't know. It's just the games have to matter. And obviously, just because you lost to the number 2, number 3, whatever you want to call them, Georgia, just because you lost to the number 3 team doesn't mean that 10 and 11 are better than you. You know what I mean? So there is an argument for Alabama to be had, but I don't know. It's not that strong of one either. There's also an argument for Miami and Notre Dame, but I personally, I guess after this is all transpired the way it has, I don't think I realized how happy it would make me for Notre Dame to be left out of the playoff, because the way they're acting right now, I don't know. It's hilarious to me. Notre Dame getting left out.
I mean, I felt bad for them up until they released that statement saying they weren't going to play in the game. And then it came out that they had brokered that deal to where, like, next year, if they're in the top 12 at all, they're, like, guaranteed a playoff spot or something. So that immediately, because I mean, I'll be frank, I guess, because we're 47 minutes in the show and no one's going to see this. Wink, wink. I don't think Alabama. We got
diehards still watching.
I don't think Alabama should be in the playoff. Like, I mean, I understand why they made it. But to me, the only reason they made it in was because the committee wanted to protect conference championship games from not being something, or from being something that teams just opt out of completely. But when you, and I know it's the 14 playoff and we're comparing it to the 12-team playoff, but Georgia was undefeated 12-0 and lost to Alabama by 3 points in the conference championship 2 years ago. Fell on 6 spots. Alabama this year did not move at all after they lost 28-7. It's pretty ridiculous to me, and to me it's incredibly obvious that the only reason they got left in was so teams didn't just start opting out of their conference championship games. Like, because the biggest argument for Alabama in the first place is that they have a win over Georgia. The win over Georgia doesn't look as impressive now that Georgia's played you again and beaten you by 21. It just doesn't. It's not. It's still good. It's still cool to be the only team to beat Georgia, but I can't value it as highly as I was. And also, the committee has this weird history of not caring about week 1. They lost to a terrible Florida State team. Did we forget that? I guess we did. And I think the reason that we did is, again, because they don't want it to get to a situation next year where, some program that's like ranked number 9 or ranked number 10 is playing a unranked school or a mid-tier school in their conference championship, and then they pull a Notre Dame and say, we're opting out of it. So that's the only reason that they're in to me. They're not in because they deserve to be in, if you ask me. Because I think the whole argument, you can't be punished for playing in your conference championship game, it's happened before, so you absolutely can. And clearly this decision was only made so that wouldn't be a problem going forward. So I think that's a pretty weak move. I get why they made it. And Alabama, again, is still a very good team, and they're more than capable of making a run. And if they do make a run, then good for them. More power to them. But I don't think that they should be in, but they are. So it doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah. Did anyone tell BYU that you can't be punished for
Right?
the conference championship
Exactly.
game? Because they did move down a spot, and that spot was the magic spot that now Miami and Notre Dame are back to back, and now you can compare them. So they're able to move down, but Alabama isn't.
I saw.
It's very inconsistent. I think my biggest issue. My biggest issue with this 12-team format, because I think what the conferences have done, because as much as people want to hate on the playoff, so many people hate on the 14 playoff for they created these like oligarchs in the college football and the haves and have-nots and all this kind of thing. It's like it just didn't do the things they thought it did. What has impacted the sport more than anything is the conference realignment. Like the conference realignment has forced like the expansion to be an important thing, because like say Texas essentially would have saved the 14 playoff when they beat A&M, because there would have been such an injustice of Georgia sitting there at whatever 11-1, doesn't get to play for the conference championship. Like A&M sitting here hasn't played any of the other good SEC teams, and they get to the Final Four. But I look at the difference in strength of schedule. This is now the second year in a row that Georgia has the most wins versus college football playoff teams. Last year, they had 4 games. They had 4 wins over college football playoff teams, over 3 different teams, but 4 wins. Oregon had 3 a year ago. Ohio State had 2 a year ago. Then you had 8 teams that did not have 1 win over a college football playoff team. This year, Georgia has 2 wins in their 3 games. Ole Miss also has 2 wins in their 3 games, but I mean, one of those is Tulane. I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. Alabama had played 3 games versus college football playoff teams, but only had 1 win in those games. Indiana played 2 and won both of them. The bottom 7 teams in this playoff don't have 1 win over a college football playoff team. And you look at James Madison, Tulane. I'm not just poking to the G5. Miami doesn't have one. Texas A&M doesn't have one. Texas Tech doesn't have one. Oregon doesn't have one. Ohio State doesn't have one. Like, it's somehow Ohio State is the number 2 seed by beating none of the other playoff teams. Meanwhile, Georgia has played 3 games versus playoff teams and won 2 of them. Like, it's just, I don't know what to do about teams playing such lopsidedly different strength of schedules and then trying to evaluate them the same. Like, this Indiana and Ohio State being 1 and 2 after the game is decided, like, kudos to Indiana for a big time win. But whoever won, and then there was more of an argument for Indiana had they lost, because they at least had the win at Oregon. Like, that's if Alabama over Georgia is the best win in college football in Sanford Stadium, Indiana at Oregon's got to be top 3, right? Like, it's up there with the best wins of the regular season. Ohio State has none of those games. Like, so it's just the eye test when it matters. It's the resume when you want it to be. It's so inconsistent the way this committee makes decisions.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the number one. That's really all it comes down to at the end of the day. I mean, anytime you involve just human opinion deciding a sport like this, no one's ever going to be happy. If anything, most people are going to be mad. And I'm glad that it's finally seated and we finally just have it done with, so we don't have to talk about it anymore. Who's in, who's not, whatever, until next year, because I'm just so sick of talking about the playoff, man. I'm ready to just watch the games.
I'm with you, man. I do love looking at a bracket, though. It's very satisfying. But this is the last thing we'll say before we leave you here tonight, because we have some, I wouldn't call it breaking news, but some news that the Heisman finalists have been announced.
Oh, really?
Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia, Jordan Love, and
Jeremiah Love.
Jordan Love?
That's
I said Jordan Love. I was like, wait. Jeremiah Love and Julian Sayin. What's your thoughts? Who gets the Heisman Trophy on Saturday?
I think the Big Ten championship pretty much won it for Mendoza. I mean, he made some pretty good throws there at the end. That 3rd and 5 deep ball. The receiver made a great play on that. I think that was probably give more credit to the receiver there for catching that than Mendoza. But Mendoza made a very good throw. No, don't get me wrong. And Indiana has by far been the coolest story of the college football season, if you ask me. Mendoza has been a really good player for them all year. He's been kind of the face of that program. I think that, I think in a lot of ways, I could still see Love winning it for sure, because he is just insane. I mean, that guy's had some of the greatest runs I've ever seen a college football player ever make. But I think that that Ohio State Indiana Big Ten title game, 1v2, 2 Heisman finalists going at it. I think that's as close to like a quote unquote Heisman play-in game as you can get. And Mendoza did what he needed to do to get the win. He had an iconic post-game speech. So yeah, I'll go with Fernando as my pick for the Heisman.
I'll be honest, if Jeremiah Love won it, I think that would be an awful Heisman winner, if I'm just being honest. Like, I think Jeremiah Love is a good player.
So sick though.
He is. He's very good. 1,300 yards. I don't want to just be looking at stats, but like 1,300 yards is not a Heisman winning
it's not like a
season. Especially like his 2 games against Miami and A&M, like 33 yards versus Miami, 94 yards versus A&M. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
94 yards and a touchdown. Like, if that's your worst game and it's versus A&M, like, sure. But I don't know. I think if Jeremiah Love would have balled out against Miami like early in the season, like that's the best game. I mean, obviously the USC, that's their best win. He had over 200 yards in that game, but I don't know. I think you're right. I think if Ohio State won the Big Ten, then Diego Pavia would be the winner. I just don't think Julian Sayin is a Heisman caliber. Like, and he's really good quarterback, but I don't know, as a freshman, like, I don't feel like he's had like Heisman moments and things like that. Not that that's the most important thing, but like Ohio State just cruised through a schedule against a bunch of mediocre teams. Like, Diego Pavia's had like the Heisman moments and like the amazing story and everything. But the only thing better than his story is Indiana going 13-0 and winning the Big Ten. So like Fernando Mendoza winning it probably wouldn't be my first choice, but I get it.
They vote for the Heisman after conference championships, right? Because my argument, because I was gonna say my argument for Fernando would be completely out the window if they didn't. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Sayin's chance to win it was if he went out there and tore it up against Indiana and they romped and they just rolled over him. And not only did Sayin not do that, they lost. I thought Sayin had a pretty bad game. I thought the inexperience really showed, and he's a good player overall, and I think that you can roll into the playoff feeling pretty good about Sayin, but he doesn't look like a Heisman guy to me either. And he put up a dud on Saturday night against Indiana, and they're going to need him to be a lot better than that if they want to win a title.
Well, it's like, also, are we giving Fernando Mendoza the credit for this win? Like, 15 of 23, 222 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Like, it was 13-10. That Indiana defense.
Hey,
of course, that Indiana defense.
Slot fade to Surratt, and then that 3rd and 5 at the end. Those are going to be 2 moments that the voters really look at, especially and how well he played against Oregon. You were talking about how Jeremiah Love, had 2 of his weakest outings of the year against Miami and Notre Dame, or Miami and Texas A&M. Mendoza arguably had his finest moments of the year in the biggest games. And if I'm a Heisman voter, me personally, I'm valuing that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of guys who are rolling over in their grave is the wrong term, because they're people who are still alive and well. But the Tua Tagovailoas, and the Trevor Lawrences and the Justin Fields of
Chase
the world
Young
have to be. Yeah, like what Jalen Hurts, what he did at Oklahoma, his numbers were just stupid. But yeah, I mean, to see 2,900 yards, 33 touchdowns be the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback is kind of wild.
I mean, guys aren't gonna throw for 5,000 yards and 60 touchdowns anymore. The game has changed, man. But I agree.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I agree. It's you look at Mendoza's numbers and you'd probably be like, "Why, this is not a Heisman caliber season." But relative to the rest of this year, it absolutely is, and I think that he'll win it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And if his Heisman speech is anything like his post game
I can't wait.
interview, I think we're all in for a treat.
Please. I love that interview. I thought it was so awesome. That really made me like him a lot. I just thought that I thought that it was
fair
such
enough.
I thought it was such a human moment, man. I just thought that the joy and the elation was just so apparent. Obviously, he came off as kind of a dork in it, but all of the best quarterbacks in the
that's all
league
it
are all
is.
dorks. You've got to be a huge dork to be a killer. And so I love that speech. I thought it was, we're flipping champs, baby.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not gonna yuck your yum over here. I thought it was kind of corny, but you know, nothing wrong
it
with
was
that.
100%.
Definitely flipping excited. That's for
Oh,
sure
yeah.
about the Hoosiers winning the title.
Yeah, I couldn't help but be happy for the guy. Shout out to Fernando, man. I hope you win the Heisman.
Shout out to Fernando, likely Heisman Trophy winner. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate everyone who's watching live. Everyone's tuned in this week. Please like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. For Bo Underwood over there, I am Matt Green. Until next time, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.